Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show, where we speak to leading entrepreneurs, CEOs of mission-driven beverage and food brands. And I'm your host, Duncan Olney. This episode is brought to you by Firebelly, which I founded. At Firebelly, we make brands more likable and profitable through social media marketing. And honest to God, that's all we do. 100% social media marketing. You might say we're a niche company. We are consistently voted one of the top 10 social media agencies in the world by Clutch. Firebelly's help clients like Netflix, Qdoba, Fiji Water, and many others transform their social media marketing strategies. If you want to make your brand more likable and profitable, let's talk. Go to firebellymarketing.com or email us at hello@firebellymarketing.com or call me and I'll help you. But listen, today I am thrilled. I'm thrilled because we have one of the most handsome and smart guests ever. And he's my friend. I'm proud to call him my friend, Alexander Svensson, everybody, from SiteTuners, where he is the VP of Growth and Strategy, I mean, practically a partner. And we work together. Well, first of all, Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Duncan. It's good to be on here.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Absolutely. Coming at me live from Mexico City. This guy is global. I mean, he's global. He is a Scandinavian man working for as the head of an American company, living in Mexico City and constantly traveling in South America. This is a good life, Alex.
Yeah, I like it. I kind of stumble upon this. You know, I got lucky. I always, my father sends us out. We're 4 kids, and he sends us out every time somebody hits 17. He said, you can pick anywhere in the world where you want to go. My sister went to Japan. My brother went to Canada. I went to the US. And then my little brother went to the US, which is an interesting story that he now lives in Japan. And he actually works also for SiteTuners. He's more in the Australian, Japanese area. So he is, as international I am, he is actually a little bit more because he lives in Japan. He is half Norwegian, half Swedish. He works towards Australia, but he works for an American company. So he's all over the place, literally pretty much every single continent that we have, right? Besides Africa. That's what he doesn't touch.
I love it. And Alex, you and I have been working together for 4 years. Of course, I know your colleague, Tim Ash, for even longer, who is the original founder of your company. And coincidentally, or not coincidentally, the author of Landing Page Optimization. So literally, when I tell people about SiteTuners and Alex and how they're a great partner to Firebelly, I say, literally, this company wrote the book on landing page optimization. And Marty, your partner, has a new book as well, right?
Yes, relationship marketing in a digital world. Yeah, it's actually he actually forced me to read it a couple of weeks ago, and he said, hey, you need to read my book, and I actually was surprised, and I actually learned a few things, and I was like, man, I've been with this company for 8 years, and actually there's some new valuable information. So yeah. Have you had a chance to read it, Duncan, or should I send it your way?
No, you should send it to me for sure.
I will send it to you, and I will send it to you free.
Oh, amazing! This is so.
Yes.
This podcast. Getting me free drinks and free books. This is amazing. So, but today we're talking about a very important part of not just social media marketing, but digital marketing and anything that's web related, which is conversion. And SiteTuners is one of the most respected and admired companies in the conversion optimization space, and so we're here talking about conversion. And Alex, let's talk a little bit about conversion. Why is conversion important?
Well, yeah. Conversion is any desired action that you want your visitors to take on a page, right? So we break it into different types of conversions. So we have primarily 2, which is macro conversions, which is the end goal, what you want them to do. So if you are an e-commerce site, obviously you want to make sure that they do a purchase, right? Then you have subscription sites, right? And you want them to become a subscriber, right? A paid subscriber, right? And then you have leads, right? You want them to either call you or fill out a form, which is the end macro conversion. Then you have micro conversions, which are intermediate steps to get to that goal. Because we cannot just ask the website visitors, right, your potential customers and prospects, to do the desired action and call you right away. They might be more convincing depending on where they are in the marketing and where they are in the conversion funnel. Right? They just heard of you and you just clicked on the display ad. The likelihood that they're going to call you, depending if you're selling a product or we say an AOV of $100, it's pretty unlikely. It's going to be 1 to 2% that is actually willing to do that. But the rest of the people, the 98 to 99%, they need more convincing, which is the micro conversions, which is signing up for a newsletter, reading more towards your page, moving towards the funnel. Micro conversion can also be an upsell or a cross-sell, right? Focusing on them, breaking them in is going to make your website or landing page a better experience for the users. And you can then see where they, where they have most issue completing the step to take that macro conversion. So a micro conversion is basically the end goal, the desired action. A micro conversion is the intermediate step to take you there.
And if I remember correctly, so many things to talk about, but if I remember correctly, I think I heard it from you and Marty first, the whole concept of conversion first thinking. So, starting with the end in mind, like what do you want this person to do at the end of the line? And then let's work backwards from there. Is that correct? Did I say it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what happens often is that when you decide a website, you want to think of the brand, and you think about all the great things that you want to do, and people kind of get lost, right? They take roads and they're trying to explain things. A lot of companies have a lot of the right pieces on the website, but they're just not organized in the correct way. It's not organized so it's digestible for the new and the returning visitors. So what we want to do is we want to focus on that end goal, right? What do you want? What is the end goal? And then design the site from there. That's why it's really important, especially when we work with customers or some of your clients at Firebelly. We look at, okay, what are they trying to achieve? What do they really want? And then actually learning as much as we can about the company, right? Really understanding the inside and out of the visitors and what they're trying to achieve, because they have both emotional goals, right? Or it's an emotional purchase, and then they have more of a feature-based, right? So we want to look at those things and then pull out the value proposition and say, this is what we want them to do. These are the other micro conversions that they need to get through or understand about our product or service or whatever it is. And then we must help them select, the different path within the website, which we call the fear of segmentation, right? So we need to give them different options so they can stretch up their hand and say, hey, my name is X and I'm looking for, this type, and I'm in this part of the funnel or this type of the marketing. And I don't know, then you can get the alternatives on where they are, right? So that you can then give the right path for them. So they can say, hey, I'm here. And you say, right this way. A good example on this, the way I see it, Duncan, right? I'm going to go on a little tangent here, but we look at, if you think of a grocery store, right? How it's designed. And it has been designed for, I don't know how long grocery stores have been around, but 1,000 years, 500 years, something in the vicinity of that, right? Ever since we sold or had commerce, we had some type of a store that we were selling products, or we had a service that you could go in. And if you go into a Whole Foods or a Walmart or a Ralph's or wherever you are in the US, in the world, they're gonna go through the doors. You're gonna go through this maze, right? And almost every time every store has the milk in the back, right? They have almond milk, cocoa milk, whatever milk, right? Because they know that most visitors are coming to your website or to your store because they're going to buy milk, 99% of the people. So what they're trying to do is to increase the average order value. So they have designed the flow of the store in a specific way. Another example is from my home country, IKEA. We've all been to IKEA, right? And we'll go through these beautiful settings about what your house can look like. and then they, feed you, and then you can buy the products, right? They've done that to design average order value and make sure it's easy for you so that the experience is better. On a website, we have to do the same, right? But it's only been around for 15, 20 years, really, right? And commerce in the next 10 years has changed significantly. So we're learning this on the website. So sorry, I went on, but that's what you want to look at when you look at a website. You want to think about the milk in the back, or the end goal, the macro conversion, and then design the flow based on that and who your audience is. Sorry.
I mean, I remember when, we first started talking. I want to say it was the end of 2016. And I remember we did the audit together.
Yes.
And, I filled out the intake form, what do we do and what's our business and who's our customer and what's our goal, all the stuff that you guys do such a great job with collecting. And we got on the call, and it was Marty was on the call, and he said to me, Duncan, I don't know what you do. What do you do? I thought to myself, like, what the hell? Like, Marty, agency. And he goes, no, Duncan, let's assume that we didn't know any of that. He goes, I'm just going by the website. He goes, it doesn't say that you're a social media marketing agency. And I'm like, holy shit, he's right. It doesn't, right? He said, let me ask you this, Duncan. How long have you been doing this? And I said, we've been doing it since 2007. It doesn't say it anywhere. Duncan, have you won any awards? Yeah, Marty, we've won some awards. It doesn't say it. He said, and then you brought the calm in and said, Duncan, most of the people when they come, like, it must be interesting for you to hear me repeat your lines back to you, right? You said, when people come to the internet, we have to make 3 assumptions.
Yep.
They're scared, they're dumb, and they're in a hurry.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
I mean, look at what an advocate I am for you. I know your lines.
Yeah, you know my own lines. Yes, but it's true, right? So we have to keep in mind when we look at conversions and producing something so that the visitors do what you want them to do. We're all selfish in nature, right? Duncan, you know yourself in and out probably better than anybody else besides your wife and your son, right? They probably know you better. But besides that, you know everything about you. You know that you're a great guy. You have great integrity. You know your stuff more than anybody within the social media world, right? So you know that. But for visitors or for people that meet you on the street, they don't know that. They see like, oh, this seems like a friendly guy. That's it. But if you don't tell them this, if you don't show them, if you don't present themselves, like giving them your spiel, then they won't know. So Marty's right when we was asking those questions, like, what do these guys do? And you'd be surprised how many websites, when I arrive at a site and I start looking through the notes that they given me in the meetings, and I'm like, oh, they're selling toothpaste, or no, it's not a toothpaste commercial, or that's not what they're selling. They're actually selling like tires for cars. But the model is smiling, and there's no view of the product, or there's no explanation. So you just assume it's like, well, it has to be the consumer product that has something to do with hygiene, right? So those questions, right, that we go through, and to your point, that we want to think of the website visitors, even if they're very, very intelligent human being, you want to think of them. It's going to sound terrible. The same thing that you said is lazy. They don't want to read anything that is unnecessary. They're not going to go over your site. They're stupid, so you have to tell them many, many, many times, right? Have to repeat the marketing message. And old marketing research, about 5 to 7 times they need to sink in. That's why you get bombarded by State Farm, Geico, all these things every day. Top of mind marketing, the jingles that they're producing, it's all there, right? And probably in today's day and age, you probably have to hear it more. So it's not enough to have it, in one part of the page. You have to repeat it. You can do it subtly, so it's in there in the back of their mind and in their subconsciousness, right? And then it's afraid. So we have to show all the great thing about you, which is, the extreme great ratings that you have on Clutch, all the clients that you've had in the past, all that stuff have to be in there, right? Because it's answering some fundamental questions that we all ask ourselves within the reptile brain. When we meet a new person, we're in a new era, we're traveling, right? And that's called cognitive friction, right? When we get bombarded with different things, and the brain slowly but surely losing energy over the day or during the day, I would say, right? Because you're requiring more and more energy. So for me that now live in Mexico, in the very beginning with the Spanish, I had a lot of cognitive friction, right? I was tired all the time, and they were asking me just to order a cup of coffee or go. I would order different dishes, and it would always be a trip for me because I didn't know what I was getting. A taco, yes, but when there was something else, sometimes it showed up with the food, and I would be like, "This is what I ordered," and they're like, "Yes," and they're smiling at me. I was like, "It's not their fault; it's my fault." But I need to learn Spanish quicker. But it was a process. I was using energy, and every time you have a conversion barrier and missing conversion elements, that helps the visitors and make it more, tedious, or they have to think more, or have to ask questions more. It's that cognitive friction, and the energy is going to go down, and they eventually going to leave the site.
Yeah.
So that happens every day.
And that is what you guys do, Alex. You are like architects and engineers of how to not only remove cognitive friction, but how to build trust and confidence. I lost you.
Sorry, yeah, you lost me. It was a helicopter flying above. Right? There's so many people in the city, so I think it's 30 million. So they all have helipads on the skyscrapers, and every once in a while there's one that takes off. So can you repeat that again? Sorry.
No, I said so. Not only do we, it's kind of and this is what you guys do. You guys are architects and engineers of experience on websites, and it's two parts, if I understand it correctly. You have to not only remove cognitive friction, but you've got to build trust and confidence at the same time.
Absolutely, and clarity, right? So
clarity.
What happens is that because businesses work in it, they know it inside and every day, just like you, Duncan, with Firebelly, and the example that you gave to us when we did an audit of your site, is that you know yourself the best. You know your business. You know the value proposition. And as a human beings, we like to take shortcuts. About 50 to 60% of what we do during a day is all routine, right? We go out, we have breakfast, we drive to work, and all that stuff. When we not doing the routine part, right? So once we do the routine, that's why every time we do something new, we use more energy, right? And with the site and what we know, we tend to just go with the flow. So within the site, if you take for an example that we are using the cognitive friction, right? I lost my train of thought. We can delete this part, right?
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. I mean, so we were talking about the cognitive friction, and it's the other part that I love that you always talk about is the greedy marketeer syndrome, right? I love that phrase. What is, Alex? I mean, this is your term. What is the greedy marketeer syndrome?
Well, it's when people want to go for the buy and sell, right? It's the casino sites of the world. So what we want to take into consideration is with the greedy marketing syndrome is that instead of showing them, giving them the value proposition, giving them the bullet points, giving them all the reason, basically instead of going through ready, aim, shoot, we're going ready, shoot, right? You did the marketing from the site, you're dropping them on the site. You don't take the time to explain, taking them through, how it works, what's the value, what's the benefit, who you are as a company. You don't have to go through the whole funnel. You can do it subtly by having elements of this within the site and just saying buy now, right? So what happens is that you're only speaking to 1% of your visitors. So if you have a lower conversion rate, which an average conversion rate on an e-commerce site, for example, it's different from for leads, right? It's 2.5%, right? So if they're coming to the site and you are, in the 1%, and sometimes we see 0.3%, this is also affected, I must say, by average order value and those kind of costs like that will be lower if you have a very high average order value. If you're just going below there and you're just saying buy now or this type of product or feature product without showing them who you are, why they should buy from you, then you're losing and not speaking to the 90 to 99% of the visitors, right? And what happens is they're going to leave your site. Once you start opening up and focus on people on top and the middle of the funnel, they're going to flow down much, much better. And you're going to open up the funnel, and therefore you're going to have, a conversion rate much higher. And also, you giving them micro conversions that we talked about in the beginning, that will also help getting people into the door. They're not ready to buy from you yet or sign up or contact you, but you're getting one step closer and you're changing the relationship. You're getting an opt-in, or they're reading your blog, they're going through it, because it takes some time. And the higher the average order value, or higher the longer the sales cycle they have, or, if you're selling a brand or whatever, the value of that lead, the more micro conversions, the more you must talk and kind of warm them up on the site so that they're better sales qualified, and they're better, they will buy from you. So you must not go from the bottom of the funnel and swing for the fences always. You have to give them a path, but you have to really dissect who they are, where they're coming from, where their knowledge previously, and educate them both on your company as well as on your product and service.
I mean, I think it's brilliant, and I've always thought this, and that's why we refer clients to each other. It's the lazy, stupid, afraid, but it's also, I'm sure that's the focus of Marty's book. It's relationship building. Like, you are actually like establishing a relationship. Not saying that there isn't, it's almost like Tinder, right? There's a market for Tinder. There's people that want to establish a connection and close on that connection immediately. But then there's a whole, those are transactional, frankly. I mean, that's the whole basic.
Yeah, it is transactional, but taking Tinder as an example though, right? There's a different type, they're in different parts of the funnel. Some people looking for love and relationship. Others are looking more for like a one night stand, right? To have a good time,
a physical conversion.
Yeah, a physical conversion. Yes. So absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, if you take another type of site, or if it's a site that does a lot of information and they're selling a service, you have to produce a lot of content and they have to digest it first. So it's much better. And this is true for leads, for example, if we're going to look at leads to conversions, right? If you give them more information, you take micro conversions, they're more likely to show up to the meeting, and they're much more sales qualified when they get into the meeting, instead of you constructing it and you promising it all these great things, and then they just sign up and they're happy with it, right? But they might not show up. But if you actually take them through, they understand the value, they understand what's happening in the meeting, and you're giving them these kind of carrots, and they trust, they become somewhat of a fan or very interested in your materials, they're going to show up to the meeting. You're going to have a better conversation. A great example is telemarketing, right? Very hard to just call somebody and close somebody, and pretty much doesn't work today, right? Of course, in some industries it does, and in some countries, but most likely people just hang out. They don't know you. They don't know what you're selling. They just hear that you're going to sell them something, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do this. But if they knew about the product and they had some type of relationship with the person, they will take the phone call and at least listen, right?
Right.
Relationship will change.
Relationship changes, right message at the right time to the right person. Got it. So, I mean, it's interesting because, of course, at Firebelly, we are working on a day in and day out basis with companies on their social media. And we actually will use the same thinking now for organic. We'll use it for paid, of course, and we use it for influencers as well. It's like, hey, you have to still take people through the funnel. You got to reach as many people as you can, as many times as you can. You got to build up some kind of engagement with them. And then you're going to send them some kind of an offer, or you're going to send them to the web page, the appropriate web page. Then you're going to build the trust on there. Maybe you get their email, or maybe, they buy, or maybe they sign up for something, whatever that is, right? And then beyond that, we want them to buy again. And what is very difficult, in my role and in our roles is that clients want immediate conversion. And I've even joked with people and said, like, listen, like, would you walk into a party and say, hey, my name is Frank, I'm selling a vacuum cleaner, and if you went to all the people, they don't know you. First of all, you're in the wrong place. Like, they're not buying vacuum cleaners at a party before the Indy 500, right? So you got to be in the right place, right? And so I find that your thinking and the micro conversion piece, it applies perfectly to social, because first you've got to like establish trust with them, and you can't establish trust with one ad, right? You've got to serve them the ad 6 times, 8 times, 10 times.
Yeah.
Then you're going to say, hey, listen, we're doing this and that, and what do you think about that? Or some question or some way of getting them involved. So I do think that, conversion thinking has a great role with social media, because you can't do it otherwise, because otherwise it's like transactions. You're going to get transactions, but it's such a difficult job.
100%. And I think that's why Marty's new book, Relationship Marketing in a Digital World, is so interesting, because it talks about marketing as well as when they're coming through the site. But I also think that the relationship, like marketing and the relationship with the customers and brands, has been changing in that way, like naturally as people has progressed, and they haven't really put a word on it, right? Conversion first thinking. Because when we engage with a client, even with our blog visitors and so on, we have stopped saying, if we get a new client, sales team, for example, do an announcement and to say, okay, we have this new client. Previously, a few years back, we were saying, oh, we got a sale, right? We don't think like this anymore, like as an agency, right? And we tell our clients the same. We say, we have started a relationship, right? And we have started using that.
That's amazing. We've started a new relationship.
Yeah, because most of our clients is with us 1.5 years, 2.5 years, right? And then some longer. But the relationship is because that's what it takes. And then also for the marketing, right? Once we are engaging something, and that starts spreading over to our own marketing, right? We're saying, okay, we start engaging and we start relationship, even if we present ads. So if you start changing the words that you use and start thinking in a different way, you will act in a different way, right? So that's why conversion thinking is important, because if you start using the relationship factors and you're saying, okay, how does the visitors interact with my site? If you ask the right questions, you're going to get the right answers. It's the same thing if you ask the wrong answers, you're going to get the wrong questions, you're going to get the wrong answers too, right? So it starts really with, who are they? What are they there for? Where are they in the marketing funnel? What are their expectations when they're coming to the site? What was promised? Are we fulfilling that promise, right? All these questions, and then looking at who they are. Are they here for a value? Are they here because of a need or a desire specifically, right? And then you can actually deliver the right thing for them, the thing that they actually need. Because many times also is language, right? I'm Swedish and I lived in the US for many years, and now I live in Mexico. So language and the way we use things can sometimes be difficult for me. However, This is the same in conversions and marketing. We know exactly what we're talking about when we see CRO. I was talking to a guy from Toronto, right? And I learned that you're supposed to say Toronto, and not pronounce the T, because that's just a foreign thing, or people that are not from Toronto. Yeah. So we were talking. We have a great conversation, and he kept telling me we've been doing Crow for years. We're pretty good at Crow, and I'm sitting there 5-10 minutes into a conversation. I have no idea what he's talking about, right? And then I realized, and I started laughing, and then he was like, "Oh, why are you laughing?" I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know what you were talking about for such a long time. For the last 10 minutes, I thought you were on the wrong call or something." He's like, "But you're using Crow when we're using CRO."
What the fuck is Crow?
Yeah. So the acronym, like we're talking the same language, we're saying the same things, and that's the same with the visitors and audience and the companies. They're talking like their own language, their own lingo, their own acronyms. And that might be perfect for some audience members, but most of them are going to be like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Right? And you lost a few visitors there, because if they're confused, you haven't made it clear enough. And I mean, it was a personal example. And what happens is that he was doing that on his own site. And I just pointed that out to him, and he changed a few things, and he get high conversion from that, and it's been a great relationship. But it could be that simple, right? CRO versus Crow. It's like just in Canada, in the Toronto area, maybe that's how they use it. And I didn't know that because I'm not from there. And inside looking out, right? So that is something that a lot of companies kind of struggle with. They know their business inside and out. And that was my point earlier when I got lost in my thoughts, is that we know ourselves inside and out, and we think from our perspective. We have to put ourselves in the shoes of the visitors and saying, what do they don't know about us? What are some of the things that we have forgotten? And it's very, very hard to do that when you are, in the weeds, right? So you have to step out. Yes. That's why it's good to always get a professional to look at it and say, point out a couple of things. And you're like, wow, it's so obvious. Well, it's obvious now, but when you're there, it's not obvious, right?
Right. I remember, the year 2014 stands out to me for so many reasons. But one of the reasons is I think it was the proper beginning of my personal journey with conversion and conversion optimization. And it seems to me that even today, 2021, right? We're in the 20s. Clients will prefer to focus on getting more traffic than converting the traffic that they do get properly. How often do you run into that? I mean, it's all attraction. Give me more traffic, damn it.
I actually had a meeting, I think 2 weeks ago, with a guy, and he was starting running PPC ads and I think AdWords on Facebook, I think it was specifically. And they say, it usually comes to me, smaller companies, and they come to me and they say, what should I do first? Should I run traffic first, or should I work in conversions? And I say, well, you should run enough traffic so you have some metrics, right? But if you're not converting, then you need to look at the conversions, right? And they almost always want to drive more traffic if they have one or two conversions and they want to get that up. But what happens is that conversion is the gift that keeps on giving, right? It's like if you have a 3% conversion rate or 1% conversion rate, the rate of return is 200 times more. So if you pick just the basic needs, you don't have to go bananas and do all the very advanced things that will take a long time. But just the basic needs, you can get a huge improvement right off the bat, and then you can drive more traffic. So the ROI on conversions is one of those things that's it's there for a very long time, and it's a gift that keeps on giving, right? Because what you change and make sure that you have a conversion rate of 2%, that's going to open up other keywords that wasn't profitable before. So it's important to have a certain amount of conversion best practices and a certain amounts of flow. But I get that question quite a lot, right? Especially from smaller and newer companies. And I always say the same thing. Well, you need to drive some traffic to know where you are, but then you need to work on conversions, because if you're driving 10 or 1,000 visitors to your site, right, and only 0.5 or 1 or 1.5 converting, you only get a certain rate of return. But instead of improving that to 10,000 visitors with the same conversion rate, right, let's tweak your conversion rate so you get 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, right? And then you can improve it. So you get a much better rate of return quicker, and you spend much less money doing it. Also, conversions also do help with quality score of Google and relevancy score of Facebook, because they're converting more visitors, they're doing more desired actions. That's why micro conversion is important too. And therefore you pay less per your cost per click. So it very entangled both of them in the same, but it's very important. I say to answer your question, you wanna obviously do the best practical conversions and then drive traffic, but to check where you are, it's always good to start driving traffic, because maybe you get good conversion because you have a great product, even if your website is not up to par, right?
Right. Well, this has been fantastic. Before we get to the last couple of questions, thank you for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. And I just want to say how important it is for food and beverage brands to be thinking about conversion. And it doesn't matter if you're selling direct to consumer or you're selling through big box retail. Conversion thinking is critical. At Firebelly, we make brands more likable and profitable through social media marketing. Thank you for listening to the podcast today. If you'd like to establish your brand, expand your reach, and get more ROI, let's talk. Firebellymarketing.com. Okay, Alex, back to you. So, I mean, I think we can safely say that we have only scratched the surface of conversion thinking and conversion, the importance of conversion today. Where can I forgot that I actually keep this book, which Alex sent to me. Right
there you go,
right next to the desk, and I'm landing page optimization. One of the founders of SiteTuners wrote that book. You should check it out. Alex, how can people find you? It's SiteTuners.com, correct?
Yes, people can find me at SiteTuners.com, and they can reach out to me directly at alexander@SiteTuners.com. Can ask questions via email, or they can schedule a call with me, and we can see if we can help you.
And Marty, your partner, has a new book as well, Relationship Building in a Digital Age, which is, I'm sure, very insightful, and I'm looking forward to reading it as well. And we should have
100%. After I get off this call, I will send it to you. Relationship marketing in a digital world, and Marty is he actually wrote a great book. I've been working here for 8 years, and I still learn stuff from the book.
I mean, what I love about Marty is more focused on making a difference than anything else. Like if you have a 10-minute call, he will ask you at the end of the call, did we accomplish what we set out to accomplish? Did you get what you needed out of this call?
Marty's very, very generous with his time, and he's also focusing on providing value in every interaction.
And he balances
as a whole.
He balances truth and sensitivity, because he'll give you some really freaking candid, incisive opinion, like this sucks, this is terrible. He called me one time and he said, Duncan, you gotta change the message. That voicemail is terrible. It's terrible. Nobody would want to work with you if you have that voicemail. He goes, call me back, please. I call him back and he's like, listen. He goes, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. He goes, but you're not building confidence. You're building cognitive friction on your voicemail. But I'm so sorry to tell you that.
Marty is a great human being, and he cannot help himself because he cares. That's the thing. He cares about people in general, and he cares about the clients to another level of degree. SiteTuners really care, and we want to build those relationships. But for Marty, it's almost like one of his things that he has to do in life, right? That's just who he is, right? When we have discussions internally, and I say, well, I don't agree with that, right? Marty's always taking the high road, always caring about the end goal and about the person, even if it's not in the benefit of always for himself and for the company. So he's one of a kind. He's a great man.
So we have been speaking today to Alex Svensson. Alex, I have one last, I'm going to switch into this different accent, one last cheeky question. It's a cheeky question. I've heard that you are descended from a long line of Vikings and pirates. Can you please comment yes or no, this is true?
How do you find out about that? Have you been talking to Marty? That is true. That is actually true. From my area in northern Sweden, there was a Viking, I would say, kingdom right there, and we're descendants from there. And then going back a little bit more closer, there was a pirate, a Norwegian pirate. I'm half Norwegian on my Norwegian side. That's called actually Pirate Alexander, and he raided all the way up on the northern coast. He wasn't a very pleasant person, I think. I read his book. It's called Sjörövar Alexander in my language, Pirate Alexander, and it's you're absolutely right. But it's some fun family history.
Well, I think
maybe that's why I like to travel all over the world. I don't raid.
He likes to travel. He doesn't raid, but he will help you and your company find the treasure in your website. I mean, and it's interesting. I didn't actually say that SiteTuners has done landing page diagnosis, redesign, conversion consulting, A/B testing, multivariate testing, all of that kind of stuff for some of the biggest companies in the world. But they love working with small companies because of their passion to make a difference. So thank you for listening today. Alex, it's been wonderful. Let's make it a point to come back and do a second round of conversion. And my cat has joined the call. So
I love it.
We will see you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.